All right, folks, welcome back to Chapter 7, Innovate or Stagnate. Now, this is a very simple title. In the book, we started to talk about this because we all know different companies that because of their inability to innovate, they fell stagnant and they didn't last very long, like the Blockbusters of the world, right? Like the Toys R Us's of the world. And we'll talk more about those guys later on. But the idea here is that if you don't always continue to innovate, what you do 6 months, a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago may not work today or 5 years from now. And so you have to be consistently figuring out how to innovate in your industry because somebody else will. And when somebody else does, they're going to get significantly ahead of you and they're going to find a way to destroy the competition. So let's get right into this. All right. First of all, feed your mind, right? What are you listening to and learning? In the book, we talk about the fact that I like to wake up early and go to the gym. And for me, that's my time, right? The gym is my time. I don't only do it because I want to be healthy, but I do it because I like that time to myself. It's when I'm pushing myself, when I'm believing in myself, when I'm in there and I'm doing stuff. And so sometimes I'm listening to music, right? Got a whole playlist called Workout Channel, right? There are all kinds of great music in there. Sometimes it's that. Other times it's podcasts, it's YouTube channels. In the mornings, I like to open YouTube and see what YouTube is suggesting to me. Maybe it's a little Bedros Keuilian. Maybe it's a little bit of Grant Cardone. Maybe it's a little bit of, I don't know who else, right? Like Simon Sinek, all the great names that step on stages, do amazing stuff, and really talk to you and bring you tremendous amounts of knowledge. And I like to listen to these guys because I like to listen to the things that they are hearing. See, these guys are so big that they speak to so many people that they're hearing different things happening, and it gives them the ability to innovate quicker. And then they don't have a problem sharing this information with everybody. And in one of our chapters, we talked about me and the consistency in me sharing everything we do and everything I learn with everyone almost for free most of the time. And what we find is that 95% of people really won't do anything about it. So when I get asked, Dave, why do you give the secret sauce away? Like, why are you always giving everybody your shit, right? I do it through podcasts. I do it from stage. I do it in live webinars. I do it and do it and do it and do it. And still people will not create. And so my wish to you guys is that not only do you continue to create, but when you hear people like me and other great names getting up there and doing great things and giving you amazing information, figure out how to innovate or you will stagnate, right? So let's talk about innovation real quick. This is a short paragraph in the book. As it relates to business, innovation is critical. I'll say that again. That's why it's highlighted in red. As it relates to business, innovation is critical. A company can do everything right, hire the right people, put together the right strategies, and make a ton of money. However, if they do not keep their head on a swivel and identify new areas of innovation, no matter how big they've gotten, they too can fail, especially when a market goes through a shift affecting businesses and consumers. Look, the perfect example to this is Blockbuster, right? And I don't know if many of you know the Blockbuster story, or if many of you have even walked into a Blockbuster, but there was an amazing feeling going to Blockbuster, right? It was like you walked in the store, it smelled like popcorn, smelled like the movie theater. And I still love movie theaters. No matter how fast a movie comes out on TV, I still prefer to go to the theater. I enjoy the theater. I enjoy the seats, especially now that most of them recline and they're sexy, and big screens and tremendous sound systems that I'm just not going to get in my living room. No one stops me to talk to me. No one asks me to pause the movie. I love the theater. However, Blockbuster was an opportunity for you to have that same nostalgia, but take some of that home with you. So you could rush to, I think it was on Tuesdays, a new movie would come out. You would rush to Blockbuster. You could look for the videotape. Then DVDs came out. That was pretty hot, right? And the Redbox came out. They were spitting out DVDs at the little stand. But you would go into Blockbuster, you grab your movie, you grab your popcorn, your M&Ms and your candy and whatever else you wanted, chips, soda. They all had it there. Anything that they sold at the theater, they had it there, right? And you would take this stuff home and you would go watch a movie, and then you would come back and return the movie. Most of the time you return the movie late. That was where they really made their money, because they charge you on them late fees, right? Now, we fast forward a little bit. Netflix comes up with this great idea. Let's make movies available online. Everything else is online. Amazon's on the way up. All these different things are on the way up. Netflix goes to Blockbuster, says, hey, we should be in business together. Blockbuster says, no way that's ever going to work. There's no way in the world that somebody is going to watch an entire movie on a screen this big. They're just not going to do it. And furthermore, people like the nostalgia of walking into the Blockbuster and smelling the popcorn. Now, you guys heard me tell the story. I loved it. But there is nothing more I would rather do than not have to go do that, or fight for a movie, or go to the front and say, hey, dude, man, I see the shelf's gone with the new movie that just came out today. Yes, sir, we're sold out. And I remember we used to stand around and see if somebody was going to return it so that we can pick it up quicker, right? Horrible, horrible, horrible. Now, Netflix says, okay, it's not going to work. No problem, Blockbuster. You do you, we'll do us. Where is Blockbuster today, ladies and gentlemen? As a matter of fact, Blockbuster could have had an opportunity as Netflix began to gain its fame. They could have had the opportunity to come out with a Blockbuster app and allowed all the greatest Blockbuster hits, that was where the name came from, all the greatest Blockbuster hits to be shown on the Blockbuster app. Now, that probably could have worked for them, but because of their inability to innovate and their inability to understand the growth, there's one Blockbuster store left in the entire country. One. There used to be one on every other corner, ladies and gentlemen. One. Now, nobody wants to leave their house, especially post-COVID. Nobody wants to go to the grocery store. So what do? You open up an app, you order your groceries. I know I do. I hate the grocery store. I do not like going to the grocery store. So me and the app Instacart, best friends. We go in there, I order all my stuff. Somebody drops it off in my front door. I pick it up, take it to the kitchen. That is the extent of my food shopping. Same thing with a movie. If I want to watch a movie, I can go to Netflix, I can go to Apple, I can go to whatever else is out there and pick a movie and watch a movie. Rent a movie, easy, no problem. It's not out yet on these other apps, but it came out on Apple and it's for rent for $5.99. Sometimes it's for rent for $19.99. There was no way in the world that at Blockbuster you would rent the movie for $20, even if it was a brand new movie, right? But I would rather pay sometimes $20 to catch a movie in my house, my entire family, than to pay for 10 tickets, 10 popcorns, 10 sodas, 10 waters, 10 all this. By the time that's done, I'm at a $250 bill at the movie theater. So $20, pop it on the TV. Everybody sits in my living room, watch a movie. We're all happy, families together. It's a great opportunity. We can pause it, go to the bathroom. I don't miss those opportunities, right? So this is where innovation really kicked in, and you started to see it with so many other companies. When your company, whatever your company is, you need to always find a way to continue to innovate. As the red sentence says, as it relates to business, innovation is critical. No matter what you do, you have everything right, the right people in place, the right customers, the right everything. But if you don't keep that head on a swivel, looking left to right, behind, in front of you, understanding what's happening in your market, you will fall through. Now, there are many ways to be successful in business, okay? But I broke it down to these 4 core things, 4 core pieces to find success in business. First of all, you need to have the courage to start and buy one. Start or buy one, right? A business is taking risk, and we know that. So start or buy one, that is one of them. Next thing, you need to see what your competitors are doing and not doing. You study your competition. You must study your competition, okay? Then comes knowing your market. You need to find out what the needs of your prospects are. You need to know what the consumer in your market is looking for. See, Netflix figured out that the internet was fast. People were using it more. People were buying more on Amazon than they were going to the store. So Netflix said, you know what? We're going to put movies on here and see what happens. And people said, no problem. I will watch it on my laptop, on my phone, on my iPad, on whatever it is. Because what happened? Companies like Apple, Samsung, and all these other companies, and Windows and Microsoft, They kept innovating. They kept making screens clearer, sexier, faster, nicer, stronger, deeper blacks, whatever it is that the commercial is promoting to you. All of it gives you a better movie quality picture, right? And then the next piece is you need to implement the plan you devise once you know the answers to questions 2 and 3. So questions 2 and 3 were study your competitors and know your market. Once you know those things, you need to devise a plan, and then you need to take action on that plan. Now, when working innovation, ask yourself the following questions. What is my value proposition? Who are the people that I serve? How am I innovating to attract more attention to get more people to want to work with me? Now, let's start with the first one. What's my value proposition? Like, what is it that I bring to the table? If I sell these cups, what am I bringing to the table with this cup? What makes this cup special? What is the value of this cup? And how do I, as a company, guarantee this cup to really bring tremendous value to you, the consumer? Who are the people I serve? Who would drink from this cup? Who would it be important to drink this cup? Maybe folks with 9-to-5 jobs that want to keep their warm coffee in the morning as they travel. Maybe folks that like to go on road trips. Maybe not airplane travelers, because I'm not really taking this with me, right? So you just think about that stuff, right? I have a home office, and in my home office, I have a bunch of these. And why? Because I work and I'm constantly on the phone, so I can't drink my coffee fast enough for it to stay warm, right? For it to be nice and warm every sip. So I have these to keep it nice and warm, keep me going. How am I innovating to attract more attention to get more people to want to work with me? Well, how did I find this company? What did they do to get in my face to make me say, I want one of those? Furthermore, it's branded to me. So how did they get me to buy this branded cup, branded to my cup, my name, my logo, my company, and make me want to drink out of this cup? How did they do that? And those are the key pieces that you need to think about. Talked about studying your competition. Knowing your competition is super, super, super key. Now, you have to get your own data, okay? Now, I talk to people when I coach them. I go, listen, you can believe what you think is the opportunity for you out there, or you bring data and figure it out on your own. Now, there are different ways to do this. You can work your market with a survey. One of the examples that I give is a real estate example, right? When I coach realtors, right, I tell them to go door to door in the market that they are working. Not necessarily to say, hi, my name is David, I'm a realtor and I work in your area, how can I help you? But more so to say, hey, what did you and didn't you like about your experience purchasing a home in this community, right? So some of the questions that we tell them to say is, what did you love about the agent that helped you get this house? Question number 1. Question number 2, what did you dislike about the process or the agent? And do you remember the agent's name? Now, here's the key. If the agent did an excellent job and the agent has consistent follow-up and stays consistently in their face, they're going to know the agent's name. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's start with the first one, right? What did you love about the agent that helped you get this house? That is a key market question, because they are going to tell you everything that they absolutely loved about the process, about the agent, whether it was communication, it was care, it was love, it was support, whatever it was. They knew everything. They were super smart. They helped them negotiate. They got a better price because of them, whatever the case was. And you're going to take notes on this. You're going to write this stuff down because you're talking to them. The next question is, what did you dislike about the process or the agent? Again, it could be all the same answers, right? It took too long, had to get inspected, inspection didn't go well, the city was involved due to a permit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Do you remember the agent's name? Now, if they know the agent, yes, John Smith helped me buy this house, I would use him again in a heartbeat. Chances are they're going to use John Smith again, because if they remember John's doing a great job staying consistently in their face. But here's the crazy part. Most businesses and most real estate agents do not stay in the consumer's face unless they're super large business, like a Nike and Apple or so forth and so on. How does Nike and Apple stay in your face? They're consistently putting out commercials, advertisements, etc. Sometimes they put some viral stuff out that people share, so people create the attention for them. That's the kind of stuff that we need to be doing, right? How do we create so that the folks here can understand what's happening. Now, there's going to be a few things that come out from this that are absolutely insanity and amazing. Okay, so check this out. If I know the answers to all of this, can I perfect the process for my market area? Let's say there's a commonality. The commonality is communication. And everyone says, my realtor never communicated with me and I don't know their name. And during the process, I had no idea what was going on. It was very stressful for me. Okay. And now we're after the deal. There's still no communication. They never talk to me. I don't know who they are. Right. Well, could your marketing to them, could the way that you approach them, the way that you get into their face, could your marketing be focused with the best real estate communicator ever? I communicate with my clients. I will never leave you behind. I know everything that you will know it too. Whatever it is that you want to title it, could that type of marketing really be excellent in getting in front of these consumers? Absolutely, for sure. Truthful, yes, it can. And that is what this is for. Because knowing your market and knowing the people and knowing the desires of the market gives you the opportunity to give them exactly what they're asking for. Whatever they liked, do what they liked and do it better. Whatever they disliked, fix it and let them know that you have fixed it. All right. Mentorship. Look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to a business, I'm not going to really spend a ton of time harping on this, but I put on here, do you remember the swordsmith, right? So like back in the day, there were no guns and stuff like that. It was swords, right? Freaking soldiers fought with swords, right? Somebody made those swords, and their swords, there was a lot of craftsmanship that went into these swords. They were the right weight. They had the right balance. They had the right connection, the right handle. They were one piece all the way across. They had the right, whatever it was, right? And so, the soldiers who picked up and had the money and the right and the power and the rank to get the great swords, they had the best swings. They had, like, everything was fantastic. No different than baseball, right? Having the best baseball bat, calling Louisville Slugger and saying, hey, I signed a contract to MLB. I want to come create a bat for me, right? And so in order for a swordsmith to be excellent, they studied under a master. And they studied under that master for years before they can actually become a swordsmith on their own, or even let alone a master. Now, I believe our generation has forgotten mentorship as a whole. They want to learn everything on YouTube. They want to learn everything in trainings, but they'll never look to someone and say, I don't want to say never. Let me rephrase that. It's rare that they will look to someone and say, I am looking for mentorship. I need mentorship. I want some help. Can you help me? And so that being said, if you are new to an industry or you want to step up to the plate, find a great mentor. I have mentors. I have people that I look up to that are doing way better than me, that live in houses 4 or 5 times the size of mine, that have done amazing, crazy things, and they make it look so daggone simplistic. And I speak to them and I talk to them and I ask them for their mentorship. All right, so get out of your bubble and see what others are doing. Now, this is a really big one right here because it allows you to step out of your market. And although I say study your market, know the people in your market, so forth and so on, your market may not even know they're missing something. And so what I like to do is step out of the bubble sometimes and go find other markets, people that are doing what I do in other markets. For instance, I am in South Florida, in the Miami area. I might go to Orlando. I might go to San Francisco. I might go to New Jersey. I might go to Wisconsin. I might go to Ohio. I might go to Michigan. I might meet some great top producing agents there, and I might spend some time with them. Okay. As I'm recording this, about a month from now, I'm in New York City. We're doing a huge conference with some top players, and I'm going to spend some time speaking with privately a lot of these top players and understanding what they do well in their business and what they hate about their business. And I want to get a really great understanding on how they're achieving what they achieve. Do the same, right? I want you to think about your ROI, your return on investment. We talked about that when we talked about financing, but I also want you to think about your ROT. Now, what is ROT? It's a return on time. Efforts that you put in, like this knocking on doors and learning your market, understanding your market, is going to give you a tremendous return on time. The investment doesn't really cost you much to go knock on doors and talk to people, but it does cost you hours. So the investment is time. What's your return on that time and that effort that you put into your business? Now, next piece is super easy. Do the work, take action. So here's the crazy part. You have the best mentor in the world. Like if you are an inventor and you sit with Albert Einstein, you have the best mentor in the world, right? And then you could, know your market, study your market, know it better than everybody else in the world. You can know every competitor and what they're doing well and what they're doing bad. But if you don't do anything about it, if you don't come up with a plan, if you don't devise a perfect plan and put it to work, it is worthless. All the information, everything we just discussed, everything up until this point of this book, completely worthless if you don't take action. So please, for the love of your business, your family, your faith, your everything, do the work and take action. Now, I talked about books for a minute. Obviously, you're reading books because you bought this book and you got this training and you're associating the book that we wrote to the training that we're creating here for you. So books have changed the world. There is no one that can convince me that books like the Torah, the Bible, the Quran didn't change the course of human history. Much more lighthearted, and recently, Harry Potter books also made their mark on the world. Nothing is more powerful than words on paper and eyes hitting the brain with knowledge. So I would challenge you, read as much as you can, learn as much as you can, because everything I'm saying here, it comes from trial, from error, from effort, and from study. All right, to sum this chapter up, there are many ways to innovate, to make something unique to you. Just as with everything else, you have to want to put in the work. If you do, who knows? Maybe someone will write a book about you one day. Ladies and gentlemen, see you in the next chapter.